I just wanna show you how much I need you. I need you, babe. I want you right here next to me. Yeah. I wanna hold you tight, kiss you late at night. Yeah. I wanna wake up to you. I wanna wake up to you. I see you. And I know that you see me. I'm looking at you. Baby, let me show you how I appreciate you. Because I do. I need you, baby, right here next to me.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, your brother, your nephew, your cousin, whatever you want to call me these days, Anthony. And I am back for another review. We got 234 people, 243 people in the chat watching right now. So make sure y'all go ahead and like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video. You know, today is a special day. It's life transition, and I thought it would be a great day to have Dr. Kit Francis join us today on this live. Now, if you all have not followed Dr. Kit, make sure you go ahead and do that. And I'm going to put his Instagram up here. So go ahead and do that. His email address is drkitspeaks@gmail.com. So make sure you all go and follow him right now. Make sure you like this video. Now, you know how I like to get things started before everything go on. Let me go ahead and put up this disclaimer. Everything on this video is alleged. It's for entertainment purposes only, and everything is in my opinion. Make sure you follow me on social media at SAnthonyLofties. You can follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you have not purchased my album, go ahead and purchase Sincerely My Fault. It's available on all digital platforms. Now, you know I love to support my other content creators, so make sure you go ahead and follow Donna Rose, Scotty by Nature TV, Who Knew What's Happening, Hey Girl, Hey, Chit Chat with QT, True T, Brown Sugar Bay, Everyday Husband Quote, House of Aaron, The Silver, Queen Sheba, DJ Richie Sky, Sherry G, Caramel, Rail, Sassy T from the 803, Healing with Shar, Anonymous T, Shows, Style, and Spirit, Ashley Miller, Kempire, and my girl Bundy Blue. If you would like for me to promote your business, make sure you just send me an email at outriobusiness@gmail.com. Or you can call 615-987-9472 or just shoot a text message to me, okay? Now, I told y'all I have Dr. Kit from Love and Marriage Huntsville. We all know him as Dr. Francis from Love and Marriage Huntsville. You all, this man has been working his butt off. When I read his bio, he has been working for some years. In 1989, I'm like, oh, shoot. He ain't the one you want to play with because he got experience in everything. So let me go ahead and say hello to a few people before I go ahead and bring him up. Okay, we got 293 people watching right now. So make sure y'all like that video as you all are coming in. Kaylin, thank you so much for being on here, love. And thank you all for waiting patiently for us. We were trying to get everything taken care of. Hey, Miss Jackie. Hey, Show, Style, and Spirit. I'm glad to see you in here. Miss Tracy. Evelyn, how are you? Miss Jennifer. Hey, Maritha. Tania, Shamika, Jesse. I see all of y'all coming in. Mildred. Hey, love. How are you? Sherry G. I see you in here, love. Angie, Shannon, Miss Linda. I'm not going to be able to go through everything, but I see y'all in here dropping comments. So make sure y'all go ahead and put a heart in the comments to show Dr. Kit some love while I welcome him up, okay? Let's go ahead and get him in. Dr. Kit.
Sir, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, man.
We had some technical difficulties in the beginning to get him on up here.
You know, technical difficulty. You know, since we're having technical difficulty, let me just go ahead and do it. Say the fear of failure is the enemy of success.
We was not going to fail at all.
No.
All right, y'all. We got 323 people watching. So how's your day going today, Dr. Kit?
All right, man. It's been going good because you know I'm working. I see clients all day long, and it's always good to come down in the evening time and just just relax. Me and my wife, all the kids are gone. We ain't got no dog, ain't got no bird, no snake. We ain't got nothing here.
Where did Dr. Kit come from versus Dr. Francis on the show? Like,
well, you know, on the show they call me, you know, it was Dr. Francis. But then, you know, me and my son, we were talking, said, man, you know, you need to be doing something for yourself, you know. And so we said, well, let's call it Dr. Kit. Yeah, you know, because it's nice and short, it's easy to catch, all that kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, Dr. Kit, but Dr. Francis on the show, but I'm Dr. Kit off the show.
I said, it seemed like everybody in the world know him as Dr. Francis because people thought he was like, this is Dr. Francis, not Dr. Kit. I'm like, look, I can only go by the name that's on social media.
Oh man, listen, I hope I'm not confusing people. So they say, nah, we want to watch Dr. Francis. We don't know Dr. Kit.
All right, Dr. See, I was about to say Dr. Francis.
Listen, man. You call me whatever you want. I'm good.
You want to be Dr. Kid? I'm gonna give you Dr. Kid, but in my head, you always be Dr. Francis.
All right, man.
It's like Dr. Francis is the doctor that we know from the show, so it was like, let's keep that Dr. Francis where it needs to be. Like,
yeah. That's good. That's good. So,
all right, you've been in 1989. First of all, what made you even want to? Well, I'm looking at two different papers right here. So on your bio, it said in 1989, Dr. Kid began providing individual, family, and substance abuse counseling to adults and adolescents in the Madison County Mental Health Center.
Right.
And then it was like that you provided counseling for foster children, foster parents, adopted children, and adoptive families in the Madison County. And you know what? I find that to be very unique because I remember in Nashville, I went to I almost became a foster parent, and I asked them a question. And I said, do you all provide counseling for the parents? And they said, no, they only do it for the children. And they asked me why. I said, the reason I'm asking that question is because if I was to adopt a child and we get close to the process and then it just fall through, that I don't get to adopt that child, it'll make me not want to do it anymore. So I provide counseling for the parent. And they said, no. So I'm like, I love that you actually provide counseling for parents. So my first question is, what made you want to get in the field of sociology, social work, and psychology?
Listen, I'm not even gonna try to make up a story. You know, I came from a family of nurses. And my father was a nurse, my mother was a nurse, my sister's a nurse. And when I graduated high school, I went into engineering. Now, from precision engineering, you read a blueprint, you get the job done and aesthetically well, and it works well functionally. And then I don't know, but one day I can't even remember applying to go to school to get into sociology. I can't remember applying. I can remember just showing up in class one day. So I don't know what happened. No, let me tell you this. I wasn't on something, so let me get this straight. No, I'm just messing with you, man. But I really don't know. I think it was a kind of a spiritual thing for me, that I really wanted to help people. And I think that is the basis of this. And I didn't see anybody. I didn't talk to anybody. I just went into it, and it's been a go from there.
I'm sorry, side note, Dr. Francis, but Nanika asked a question. She said, is your son married, asking for a friend?
Is my son married?
She said, is your son married? I'm asking for a friend.
Listen,
I'm coming in with that. Not today. Don't you do it.
Listen, he's married. And he and his wife, they got 2 children. Okay. My other son's married. He's got 2 children too. So yeah.
Well, I have a question, Anika.
Hey, what kind of people you got on your show, man?
Let me tell you, they love me and I love them.
Hey.
We got 429 people watching right now. So y'all keep on bringing them numbers up. So my next question is, what is one thing that you were taught going into the field that you use in your everyday life?
One thing, is that people, if I'm going to do this, okay, I need to find out from people how they got to where they are today, how they are experiencing themselves today, where they want to be if they're not where they want to be. And so that's a kind of a transitional thing because it takes time for me to walk them through that. But one of the things I do want to say here is this, that because people are always growing on a growth and developmental continuum, is to let them know that if you don't succeed, hear what I'm saying? If you don't succeed at what you do, don't say that you failed. Say that I have not succeeded yet. Because if a lot of people can't make the distinction between failure and I am a failure. I might fail at something, I might not succeed at something, but I, the person here, is not a failure. So I try to work with them on that to make the distinction, the difference between what they do and who they are.
Now, I know when you go into this field, you have to be open-minded, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Has there ever been a time in life where you just felt like it was hard for you to be open-minded in this career field?
No, but I will tell you this though. I remember just to kind of let you know where I'm coming from, why my open-mindedness about this. I remember I was doing street work one time in a large city, and I was doing that, and I wasn't there for a long time yet, and so it was October 31st. And we were just kind of splitting up to see, hey, listen, where we're going to go on the street tonight, because that's what street work is. Go on the street, meet these kids. So the team would go out, and I was there for maybe about a couple of weeks. And this guy said, he was just a regular guy. And this guy said, he said, well, listen, there's a gay bar up there, and I will go there because I'm gay. Now, at that point when I heard that, I wasn't sure. And after he left, I said, was he joking or was he not joking? He said, no, he said he was joking. And the thing about it is, I had been on the street with that guy, doing our street work. And I never thought about it. He didn't act any way differently from anybody else. He just came out and said that. Because everybody else knew, but I guess he said it for my benefit. And you're right. I have to be open-minded about anybody, the color, the race, the gender, the social preferences, their behavior. And I make a distinction between all of that. And who are you? Who is this person? See, when I work, I'm interested in the person, not the behavior. The behavior gives me a key to get to the person.
Oh, yes. Okay. That was good. Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
What's that?
Say the behavior.
I said the behavior. The behavior is the key to get to the person. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. You know how we like to label people, right? Your show is okay for what I'm saying, right? Your show is good. Yeah. People like, they like to talk about dope heads and alcoholics and all this kind of stuff. Well, see, my wife would say something to me like, look, on your way home, can you get a can of baked beans? So I go into the store, and if I'm in a hurry, I say, listen, where your baked beans at? The guy said, down aisle 15. Now, just imagine me going down aisle 15 saying, yeah, all the beans are here. Now, the label says baked beans, but I don't know what's on the inside. You hear what I'm saying? I'm going by the label on the outside, believing that the label is so powerful, the label cannot be wrong. And so therefore I pick up this can of beans and I take it home. And when I go home, it's beans. So what I'm saying here is that we got to be very careful how we treat people. So when this guy said, listen, I'm gay, it didn't matter to me. So why? Because I didn't put the label on him. He said that's what he is, and that's his preference. So I'm good with that. So this is what I'm saying. The behavior is just the gateway to getting to the person. If I get stuck at the behavior, I miss the person. And so often we kind of treat the behavior, the label, and miss this wonderful person who is behind all of that, trying to carve out a place in society that can sometimes be very cruel to them because of their behavior. They're not able to make a distinction between that because they don't know how this person got there, how they made the decision, if they made the decision to be like that. Maybe it just happened. I don't know.
I'm so glad you on this show today. I'm happy because everybody is living for you right now. G12 said, I would love to hear more about his street works. And number 2, have you written any books?
Listen, I wrote one book, and it's a book of original quotes. Okay, they're all mine, original. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm taking some time. I'm going to take some time out to embellish each quote to give it a explanation of what it means. Like this one here says that the fear of failure is the enemy of success. So I'm going to write maybe about 10 pages on what it means to be successful. Is why success? What's your definition of success? What's your definition of you being successful? What are you going to be successful at everything? And let me tell you something here. Since your show is good, I'm good. Some people will say that if you can think it, you can achieve it. Wrong. Listen, man, I can think bungee jumping, but I ain't gonna do it. You understand what I'm saying? I can think going to Mars, but I can't do that. Now, we got to ask, is it realistic, though? And these are some of the things that I work on when I'm working with people, and I have to reframe a lot of ideas in their head. So anyway, so I wrote this book, and so I'm going to, embellish it like that. Now the street work is, back in the days when I was doing that, a lot of kids would kind of run away from home, okay? And they would actually live on the streets. And they survived on the streets. And there was a community of street people, okay? They were not homeless because they could go back home. But they lived on the street. They would be on the strip. So the strip would be open like all night. And that's where they did their thing. They would meet in different eating establishments and fast food stores and everything like that. That's where they met and spent the night. And in the daytime, they just go in different places, But it was really good because they figured out how to live, and they were not disheveled in their outfit. You can't look at these guys and tell that they were actually street people, and that's what they called them back in the late 80s, going off in the 90s. That's what it was, and so they were survivors. They didn't rob anybody. They didn't shoot up anybody. They didn't do none of that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that we're seeing right now, they were not kidnapped. The police didn't hassle them. They knew they were on the streets. They just had to be law abiding. They just did not want to be so structured in their lifestyle, and they wanted the freedom to express themselves in a variety of ways.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you ever faced a situation where the case was so hard that you had to go to God about the situation?
Oh man, I go to God every day. And before I open up the idea here is, yes, when I was a lot younger in this thing, man, I would be trying to figure out, I thought I had to have the answers to everything. And I had to be able to point people in every direction because I'm supposed to know. I got into this thing. I said, wait a minute, no. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to recreate people. Okay. I'm really here to ask them questions like, and here's a question, what is it about me? So when I ask people that question, it forces them to think about the self and not go outside themselves. So now, before I even go into my work, I pray, and I have a very short prayer that I pray to God. I pray, my wife, we do our devotion in the morning time, but when I go into my office, I say, Lord, I say, Lord, I can't do this. I need my angels to speak through me. I want you to turn me upside down, shake my mind up because it's not that great. And then I want you to put me the right side up, pour the mind of Jesus into me, because that way I can really think through something, because there are times when it can be so difficult. Now, not only can it be difficult in that area, but it can be difficult because they may be saying things that is meaningful to me and touch my life. Now that can really stop me. And now I have to make a distinction between what do I do with what I'm hearing, because I don't need to absorb it so much that I know that I lose track of the fact that I'm working with these people and they need me here. So all of that will come into play at some point.
Everyone is enjoying this conversation right now. These comments, everyone is just saying this conversation is refreshing, and they're enjoying everything you're saying right now. I may not put all the comments up, but actually I got like 3 other devices right here where I can see the comments and make sure my moderator, she texts me, make sure everything's good. So the next question that I want to ask you, you know, in business, sometimes you have to be up to date when it comes to software, always on the latest trend when it comes to social media, because you see social media is really taking over by force, like especially during COVID. With COVID being so unpredictable, how did COVID affect your business?
Well, I'm going to tell you, COVID positively impacted my business. That plus the show, because once the show started to go worldwide, okay, I had, and I have clients across the country. I've had clients out of Africa and Dubai and the UK and different places. So it impacted my business so well that there were times when clients would complain because they couldn't get a session in like about 4 or 5 weeks. So sometimes I just shut it down to shrink the number of people that I was seeing. Becomes more manageable, because you can't have clients who need to talk through things and they have this long span of time, like 3, 4, 5 weeks before they can see me. They begin to lose or have to go into a lot of pain on the inside because they can't get the help they need. So anyhow, yes, COVID positively impacted me along with the show, because I was able to, and I'm still able to work remotely from home. So it's been really good.
LB, now I see a few of you all are asking questions. I will put the link down soon so you all can ask Dr. Kidd questions. What I do for my show is I normally let people come up and talk to you and ask you certain questions, only if you're okay with that.
Hey, I'm good.
Okay. So LB, she said, and also LB, I saw your question earlier. She said, where's your practice located? Is it only in Huntsville, Alabama, and you do virtual as well? Yeah, so it's Huntsville, Alabama, and she does virtual.
It's in Huntsville. I'm going to tell you that, I've never been one of these people that want to have a whole lot of people working for me. Here is the way I work it. It's very archaic, but it works well for me. Okay. I get a phone call, or I get a text, or I get an email. I answer that. I send out the paperwork. I get it back. I don't have anybody else out there going to see in between if I am not available. If I'm not available, I ask them to just find another time that's available to them. Okay. But I like the idea of being the only person that they see from start to finish. This way I get to know their story, but more than knowing their story, I get to know the person behind the story. Yeah. So LB go ahead.
LB said, can you please provide us with the best effective technique in dealing with a person that has mental health issues?
Well, it just depends on the type of mental health issue that they have and the degree to which they are able to function. So it's not something that I can say, hey, do this or this or this, because then what I'm doing is giving them, some narrative out of a book that somebody wrote that don't even know the person. Okay. And so you can say, hey, listen, everybody, when they got a headache, Tylenol don't work for everybody. So for me to say, do this, okay, I'm taking it for granted that this, whatever this is going to work. When in essence, the person is so unique. Everybody's got a headache, they have a different, unique experience of the headache. So in short, the answer is I don't know, because I would have to talk to the person, get some background on the person, see what's going on with them right now. How did you get to where you are right now? What has it cost you to, over the years or however long you've had it, so it's not that easy to just say, hey, do this. Okay. I can't do that, and I don't do that.
All right. Now, this is a question I know we really need to talk about, especially when it comes to our culture. Why is it so hard for our culture to admit that it's okay to go to therapy? And the reason I ask that question is because I'm a PK. And for so long in our culture, I feel like everyone wants to say, go to the pastor this, but the pastor isn't, I don't think he's able to provide all the tools that everyone needs. So, and I always say it's okay not to be okay. But it also seems that when it comes to the Black household, the Black families, that a lot of people are not okay with seeing a therapist. Why do you think that?
Right. Well, it's something about our culture that because we came out of hardship, the church has always been our base, our jump off point, and our return point. And so God has taken a very strong place in our lives. Now, you read the Bible, you see God has done some amazing things. You're a PK, so you have to know it. You've heard your dad preaching. You know all of this stuff. Grow up in the house. God is prominent at all times, all places. He is super. And so what happens here is I think a lot of clergy make the mistake that if you pray to God, okay, everything's going to be okay. But the Bible says faith without works is dead. So in other words, and preachers know this too, because I heard one preacher say this one time. We were sitting in church and say, listen, and they were talking about the importance of trusting God and giving your problems to God. And he went so far as to say, listen, you really don't need a psychologist or something. You don't need all these people. And then at the end of the sermon, he said, listen, I just received notice here that so and so is in the hospital now, and they're gonna have to do surgery. If they're gonna have to do surgery, we better pray to the Lord. Now here he is saying, listen, if God could do it, then we wouldn't need a surgeon. You understand what I'm saying? All we'd have to do is pray. Now, I'm not saying that God couldn't do that, but at the same time, what God has provided us with the information and technology and knowledge and wisdom to say, listen, if you look at the Bible, people were always helping people. God could create all the miracles he wanted to do to get the job done, and he did that. So that's one thing. Now, the other part here is this, that for us as in this culture, there has been a culture of mistrust along the way. Most of the therapists don't look like me. I think we're getting more into it, and this mistrust still exists. That's one thing. Most of the therapists who don't look like me, okay, they don't understand where we're coming from, the way we speak and the way we act, and reasons why we do things, and who we live with, and what the home culture looks like, and all this kind of stuff. And so they're telling us about something that happens up there, how to behave on the other side of the track, and we're saying no, it won't work like that. It won't work like that. So I think coming to terms with the fact that they could not find people like me. Now that they found me, Black people go to therapy. I will tell you that. Black people go to therapy. There's a whole bunch of us out there that go to therapy. And what do they tell me? that when they go to non-blacks, they don't feel that they are understood, and the kind of a language they use, because a lot of times, you know, I don't get into this clinical stuff, using a lot of clinical language and stroking my beard. You know, I talk about my wife's garden. I talk about the dog that I saw running down the street. I talk about the bird. I talk about, and try to get them to say, how do you see yourself growing? Or how did you get here and all of it? So when I use, you know, backyard talk, or just at the grilling talk, you know, when I use just the regular talk that they need, they get to understand that somebody understands them the way they are experiencing themselves. So I think there is this kind of a disconnect between us, and I think that over the years we've kind of lost it, thinking that we shouldn't go to therapy, and everybody should tell somebody, if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do.
Gotcha. I remember when I used to work with the juvenile system, I was a case manager and I was a transportation supervisor. And I remember they always used to be like I can't get through to the kids. I'm like, yeah, because they look at you and they're not relatable. They can't relate to you. Your household is totally different from us. Right. And I was telling them, like, I'm gonna be honest, I will cuss them kids out. That's what they need sometimes. Like, I'm not gonna talk to you the way they're gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to you the way you should have been talked to. Now get over there and do it, and we'll talk about this later. Right. It's like sometimes they just don't have a routine. And it was something I was listening to, that people are so accustomed to dysfunction that they don't know what unconditional love look like.
But you know, unconditional love, this is what I'm talking about. Unconditional love is of the person despite their presentation of themselves. See, that to me is what unconditional. There is no filter between they dress like this, look like this, smell like this, talk like this, eat like this. See, that's a filter. But when I see, let's go back to the label. When the filter now becomes the label, it says, listen, I can get caught up on the label. On the label, you know, he's a drunk, he's all this kind of stuff, crackhead, all, you know, and people, I hear those things. I'm not using those things in a negative way, but I'm talking about what I hear, you know. So I can get caught up on that and miss the person who came to me for help. It's not because they were necessarily drinking. They may be drinking, they may be using drugs for what I call emotional anesthesia. But you know what anesthesia does? It does not stop the pain. It stops you from feeling the pain because it reorganizes your system, your central nervous system. And that's what they're trying to get away from. They're not trying to drink themselves into a stupor, but some people, they've been doing it for so long, it becomes what they do, because that's their Tylenol, that's their Advil, that's their whatever it is, you know, to stop the pain. So here it is. I heard one guy say, listen, we're either in the pursuit of pain, pursuit of happiness, or the avoidance of pain. And that is so true. That is so true. Because when we pursue happiness, it takes us away from the pain. All right. And if we're trying to avoid pain, then what are we trying to do? We're trying to get the opposite of that, which is the pursuit of pleasure. So yeah, we need to, again, and this to me is very key, stop looking at the what, the when, the where, the why, the how of a person, and try to get to the who. Now, it's difficult to get to the who if the person does not feel that they can trust you with their who-ness. Yeah, I'm killing the English time, with their who-ness, because the last time they trusted somebody with their who-ness, the person basically annihilated them. You know, and they don't want that. So it's hard for them to come to you or come to me because of the way they've been treated in the past. So some people make it just so difficult for other people to go and get the kind of help they need.
Ooh. On that note, we're about to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Dr. Kitt, we're finna get into the real questions, okay?
All right.
I'm enjoying this. I don't know about y'all, but I'm enjoying this. Put a heart in the comments if you are enjoying this video. Now, you all know if you are looking for something to be bedazzled, like your shoes or a cup, feel free to hit up She Shines, okay? And if I can find the video, I know I got it right here. That's what only thing I hate about what is it about StreamYard? You got to find the videos once you put them up there. And here we go.
Can we go back to that place where we used to be? I wanna lay down, cuddle up and watch TV. I wanna feel like you're listening to me. Can we go back, go back? I remember when we would talk all night, laugh until we cried. I don't know what happened to us, like we're growing apart more and more. I just wanna know, tell me if I'm doing something wrong, baby. Cause I feel like I'm losing you, feel like I'm losing you. Can we go back to that place where we used to be? I wanna lay down, cuddle up and watch TV.
All right, everyone, we are back. And once again, we have Dr. Kit from Love and Marriage Huntsville on here with us.
All right. Yeah, I'm good. My phone is saying low power.
Wow.
So my wife is getting my power cord for me.
Okay.
So
you want me to do a commercial one more time while she get that for you?
Yeah, please.
All right, y'all. We can do another 1 minute commercial, then we'll be back. Let them get their charge, okay?
You know you got that good shh. When those eyes getting heavy, you start seeing shh. Try to comprehend what's going on, cause you feel that shh. Your mind be so gone, but you loving it. I'ma send you to a place you never been before. Make your body do some things I never felt and more. It will have you feeling good, you can't even ignore. The feeling. I wanna take you. Let's go on a ride, baby. Follow me. Go to the sky, darling. Let's get on the let's go on a ride, baby. Go to the sky, darling. Let's get.
All right, everyone. If you have not followed Dr. Kit on Instagram, make sure you go and follow him, Dr. Kit Speaks. And that is his email address right there on the profile. So make sure you all go ahead and do that. Dr. Kit, you good?
Oh man, I plugged this thing in and now I can hear you, but I can't see you.
What do you got to plug into?
I just plugged it in the wall.
Hit the camera button on it.
Did I see? Yeah. Hey, here we go.
Right, come on now. We catching on. We catching on good.
Right. Listen, man. I'm good. I'm getting a good lesson on technology right here. Okay?
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about refueling your marriage retreat. How did you come up with the retreat, and why did you think it was necessary to have that retreat?
Okay, so me and my wife, we've been doing refueling your marriage retreats now for a number of years. We do some here in Huntsville, and then we do some once a year up in Chicago. Now, the whole idea of refueling your marriage, okay, the whole idea here is based on the automobile.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just think about driving for a long time. You know, you fill your car up, you know, you're going from New York to LA. And so you fill your car and you're just driving, and you say to yourself, listen, man, after I've done with that, after I put the gas in there, that's it. It's going to get me to LA. That's 3,000 miles away. But what's happening here is if you don't keep your eyes on the needle, that thing's going to hit empty and you're going to be stuck on the side of the road. But if you stop at strategic points and refuel your car, your truck, whatever you're driving, you will always make sure that you have enough energy to keep going until the end, until your destination. So with that in mind, we came up with the whole idea of refueling your marriage, which means that there are times when you just need to stop. Now, it looks like this. You don't refuel unless you are in mid-air fighter jet and they have a fuel tank following the fighter jet. But under normal circumstances, what we do is we pull off the road and we go into a place and we stop and we refuel. And it's not just refueling. You got to make sure you got the right octane, because if you don't, your vehicle won't function really well. So with that, I said, hey, marriage is like this. You know, there are times when we got to pull off the marriage highway. We got to pull off the highway of life. We've got to pull off and pull over and refuel. Now, what does refueling look like? Sitting down talking to each other. It may having discussions. It may just be going on a date. It may just be doing a whole host of different things that we can't do while we're so caught up in the day-by-day work and clothes and food and kids and bills. You know, you can't, if we stay stuck in that, then you know, because if it works, it will consume energy. If you don't replace or refuel, okay, at some point, like I said, you are going to run out and you become not dysfunctional, non-functional. You're going to stop. And so therefore, the whole idea then is of refueling your marriage, refueling your relationship is very, very, very important. Very important.
What does your wife do for a living? Is she a psychiatrist too?
No, she is a nurse practitioner.
Oh, I can only imagine y'all conversations.
but listen. When we do our marriage retreats, because she's a nurse practitioner, you see, we take a look at a systemic or holistic look at the person. We take a look at it biologically, which is her side. Okay, psychologically, social, okay, physical, and spiritual. We do all of that. When we look at people, we try to intervene at all of those levels. So we make a good team when we bring that blend. Now, let me tell you about this blend. You know what you stuff thing in your blender? You put your thing in the blender, you hit that thing on. Okay. You know, you put some apples, tomatoes, whatever. We do crazy things in our blender when we make smoothies. But once we put it in there, you know, the apple loses its appleness, but it's still in there. You can't see, but the banana loses structure as a banana, but it's in there. The strawberry loses strawberry structure, but it's in there. And so when you blend something, ain't no arguments. And so marriage is also about the blending and the refueling of the relationship. Now, why am I saying relationship? Let me say this real quick. The relationship is what we do. Right. Your marriage is the stage on which you act out the quality of your relationship.
All right. So let me ask you this next question. Whose idea was it to bring you on Love and Marriage Huntsville?
I was sitting in my office one day, just minding my own business. I got a phone call. And I said, you know, answer the phone. Like I said, I answer all my phone calls. And they said, man, it's been so long, I can't remember now. But they said, this is so-and-so from Love and Marriage Huntsville. I said, okay. They said, have you ever heard? I said, no, I've never heard of Love and Marriage Huntsville. They said, well, it's a reality show like you know, Housewives of Atlanta. I said, okay. I said, well, you know, you came highly recommended, you know, as a therapist for this. I said, thank you. And I was about to hang up. They said, no. I said, listen. I got clients to see. I really did say that. I got clients to see. I don't have time for that. And then they said, yes. I said, well, I need more than that. I need some letterheads. I need something to make sure that this thing is real. And once they said it was real, they say, yeah. I said, okay, I can do this. There was one condition. The condition of me being on the show is this. I said, I cannot be scripted.
Come on now.
I said, I cannot. I said, nobody's going to tell me what to do. I said, when I'm on the show, I said, I know you're going to have a whole bunch of cameras, but I ain't seen no camera. I'm seeing this person that's sitting in front of me, and they're going to get what they get, even if the camera wasn't here. So that was the only condition that I had. And I've lived by that, because I can't play a game with people's lives. You know, I really can't, because I play a game with one person's life, and I got to ask myself, they got a mother, a daughter, a sister, a cat, a dog. All of these people require this person to be in a particular mindset and behavioral responsiveness, just so they can have balance in their lives. So I told him no. So that's how it came. But I don't know.
Now that's how you do business. You can negotiate and tell them what you gonna do and what you not gonna do.
Yeah.
All right, Black, y'all better watch. Okay. Well, I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry, I heard I had to. Okay. So my next question is, okay, did you know any of the cast members before getting on the show? And I'm not asking if they were a client, because we don't want to violate HIPAA. Right. So did you know any of the cast members, or have you ever heard of anybody on the cast?
Listen, man. Like I said, I've never heard of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I didn't know any of the cast members. The first time I saw them was the first time I saw them, you know, relative to the show, you know, and so no, and that, you know, that made it easy for me, because, you know, I was just going in. I said, I don't know you, you don't know me. It's not an arrogance. It just gives me a position of being able to be forthright and forthcoming, you know, and open with my response, you know, because I wasn't looking for business. This was on the show. They had to be on the show, and I just happened to be the third player on the show.
Okay. So basically, Love and Marriage Huntsville have opened up a lot of doors for you.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. It's opened up doors that, yeah, as a matter of fact, I would tell you this. I've had a number of sightings. You know, I'm going through the airport and people go, "Oh, I know you." But this one here's the greatest one. We were coming back from, you know, from Aruba about a couple of weeks ago. Me and my wife, you know, we were in the plane. You know, we don't fly. We just fly like regular people, because that's what we are. You know, so you know, we were around about the middle of the plane. My wife was sitting next to this woman, you know, and they were talking. And, you know, I was sitting there just reading some stuff, you know. And as, you know, we pulled into the gate, and the plane stopped. Everybody's trying to deplane and all this kind of stuff. This woman looked at me and says, Are you Dr. Francis from Love and Marriage Huntsville? I said, yes. She looked at her friend. I said, I told you that was him. I told you that was him. And she goes, hey, y'all, this is Dr. Francis from Love, and the whole back of the plane. Oh man, that was, and that was after three different sightings on the island, you know. So yeah, it's opened up a whole lot for me, and it's a humble thing. It really is. You know, people say, well, celebrity, and I don't know what that is. But when you get half a plane talking like that, and people see you in the stores and in airports and stuff like that, it does make me think, well, you know, what does it mean? Because I'm the same person. I wake up, wear the same clothes, I wear the same thing. I didn't go out and buy nothing. I didn't change my car, didn't change my house, you know, go to the same barber. Hey, I didn't change that. But they see something, and I think it's because, and they watch because of the other side, but they also watch because I'm giving them something that that resonates with them, makes sense to them. And not only that, they see somebody like themselves on there, so that really charges them up.
Mhm.
And if those people
shows reached out to you?
What's that now?
Any other shows reached out to you?
No. The other shows reached out to me. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I just think, hey, love and marriage, and that's where it started, and that's probably where it's going to stop. So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But they might, you know.
Was there anything that you viewed as a downfall that maybe you didn't agree with the way the scene was probably edited?
Well, the editing, you know, this is one thing I think I can, you know, I think I kind of come to this conclusion is that the direction that they want the message to go, they would edit in or edit out certain things, you know, and then I might say something here, okay, and then they edit the rest of the connectivity to that and drop something else in, which makes it sound like I said something crazy, you know. But I don't have any, you know, I don't have any control over that, you know. So yeah, there were some things when the connectivity wasn't there, but hey, I know what I said.
Gotcha. Is there anything the viewers didn't see you wish it would have made the scene?
Say that again for me.
Is there like anything like as far as like filming scenes? Is there something that you wish the viewers like that? Is there something that we didn't get to see that you wish we would have seen?
Okay. Like when we did the marriage retreats, I think some of the moments where the couples were really emoting and getting in, because we were there for 3 days with them up in Tennessee somewhere, you know, and it was outside, you know, we just dressed up, you know, just regular clothes on. But the whole point here is this, you know, I put them through, or we put them through various exercises. One of the exercises, you know, we put them through was tying their legs, you know, and we focus on the meaning of that, you know, power versus cooperation and stuff like that. And I wish we had seen more of those parts that we did, as opposed to, and you know, like the individual pieces that I did with them. But I really wanted them to see the essence of the marriage retreat. Why? Because a lot of people were going through difficulties in their marriages, and so I'm thinking, you know, what message can we give to these people? You know, and after that, a lot of people, you know, contact me and say, listen, when you're going to have another marriage retreat? You know, so we're trying to see what we can do about a marriage retreat.
You're doing one in Nashville, aren't you? Well, y'all normally do one in Tennessee and Huntsville, right?
Yeah, we are, but you know, we have to kind of hold off on that for a little bit because of some logistics. But I'd like to do, and so instead of doing like marriage retreats are for 3 days, but we have you know, what I call the rest stop, you know. And the rest stop, you know, you're driving a long way again, you know, on the interstate. There are rest stops where you pull over and take care of personal business, because if you just keep hitting this marital highway in marriages, man, you can get burnt out, you can get tired. So every marriage needs a place to pull over and stop and reflect. Even if it's not a marriage, if it's a significant relationship, you still need to do that. So we're doing like 1 day. I'm planning a 1 day refueling your relationship seminar, and it's going to be in Atlanta. I think it's going to be sometime in September.
Can you tell when a client is not 100% honest?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How can you tell?
Now I can't tell it with all clients, because some clients are really slick. So I'm not going to say, yeah, I know.
That question. Can you tell when anyone on the show wasn't 100% honest with you?
Oh, on the show, I think that I think that it's not that they were not 100% honest. I think they had to protect their interest. I want to put it that way.
Okay.
And so they really couldn't say everything that they wanted to say. Now, I remember a couple of times when I did do some individual sessions. Now, I know that they were being honest because I was being honest. And you know why I knew they were in? Because they were crying. They
Okay,
got
hold on. When you say to protect their interests, as far as their image on the show,
it's not necessarily that their image on the show, although it could be their image on the show. But if they, they may not want to say something on the show, because when I was doing this, I was talking to a couple of the wives, and I did so with a couple of the guys. But do they really want to talk about that part? See, the show does not get into that. What I get into is the quality of their interpersonal relationship and how it's acted out on the stage of marriage. Now, do they really want to say some of that stuff? Because their personal interest may be, listen, how's it going to impact me and my spouse, my significant other? And that's what I'm talking about, because the other stuff, they kind of go back and forth, banter back and forth. And there's nothing kind of deep and clinical about it. They may argue about a whole lot of stuff, and arguing about it is, but when you have to work it through and talk it out, and I'm asking you these questions here, things that is not scripted about their past and about their parents and about their childhood and about previous relationships and all this kind of stuff. Did they talk about all of those things? So I don't know. So in order to protect their interest, and the interest here being the quality of their current relationship, they know where it's at, they know where it could go, they know where they don't want it to go. So they may not be as forthcoming. I'm not going to say they're lying. They may not have been as forthcoming with some of the information that it could have benefited their growth and development.
Okay. Are you currently up to date on the show right now?
If I'm currently up to date, I watched a couple pieces on the show. I think they have another therapist on the show right now. They have a female therapist. Now, I don't know what her role is on the show, if she's going to be on the show like I was on the show. But other than that, I'm not currently up to date, other than I know that the two principals, I call them the principals, because there have all these couples on the show. But I think everybody knows who the principal couple is. They're divorced, but they are still the principal couple. And so everything kind of revolves around them. So I do know that they're back on the show, even though they're not married. And that's as much as I know about the show right now.
Well, let me ask you this: is there anything you wish they hadn't shown on the show?
Not about me. Not about me. And one of the things is, they have to show what they need to show in order to get their audience, their ratings, and everything else. So I will tell you this, though, that one of the things that a lot of people wanted to know was, when they go to their parties and when they're all dressed up and however they dress up, they say, well, do you go to those? I say, no, I don't go to those. I said, I work out of my office. They come to my office. I do what I do, and that's what I do. But I've never been to any of the other activities that they do. I don't see them in the store. I don't see them places. I saw one guy at the gym, but I don't really. And it's not that I got anything against them. I really don't. I'm not saying, well, that I don't like their lifestyle. Because I realize what it is. It is a reality show. And one of the things that the marriage retreat showed us was that they are just as human when they're not in the studio in front of the camera for the world to see when they're all dressed up. They are just as human, hurting, needy, needing people.
So with you saying that right there, all of that, did you ever see any concerns about longevity of any of the couples while you experienced your moment on the show?
Now, I tell you this, that in terms of the longevity of the couples, I got the feeling that they were working to stay in the alliance. You know, I do believe that there is love between them.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are also some of the marriages may be more functional in that they're in it to get and to give and to, you know, but the, the romance and the intimacy and the affection, and the passion and all of that stuff, I'm not so sure about where that is, because a lot of that stuff don't come on camera, and it certainly don't come on the TV programs when they are playing those things, when they're airing those things. But so I have to work on that. And those are the questions that I deal with in the sessions, to try to get to that. And was that?
That's the stuff that we need to see.
Yeah, it is. It is the stuff. But then if you see that, then it takes it out of the reality show programs, reality TV, and make it the real thing, the authentic thing. And I think that's what people really need, as opposed to, or maybe I should say, along with the fantasy part of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, if you're asking those kind of questions, yeah, I would have loved to see more of not just strategic parts of the 1 hour or the sometimes 2 hours that I do in one session, because they kind of ferret some things out. But I would, some of the more deep and personal stuff,
You remember
it would be good.
Do you remember that scene you did with all the guys? And do you feel the guy code came in effect?
The guy code came in effect. I think if the guy code's going to come in effect, I think it was one of those things where again, it was easy for them to protect their manhood.
Mm-hmm.
And protecting their manhood meant that there were certain things that, even though they were going through it, the just being very open sometimes about how they feel about their feelings, how they share their feelings with their spouses, their significant others, and so, and again, I could see some of this really coming out when we did the retreat, because that was the first time we had all the couples together, and when there are some questions that I would ask, and there'd be an answer, and then 2 or 3 minutes down the road, they give a different answer to a similar scenario, which is basically the same thing, So yeah, I think there was whatever the guy code would look like. I think there was some protection. I got to protect my manhood. I got to, there are some things I can't say. I got to just behave in the right way, and that is not what marriage is all about.
Could protecting manhood also be protecting each other?
Protecting each other, yes, it could be that, but also in protecting each other, okay, it might also be a way of making sure that the way we talked about what we say, we have to protect that part of us too, because I don't know that they're going to put everything out there about themselves. So yes, they are protecting the self and protecting each other. But then if the way they behave on the set, the way they behave, if that is not the way they relate to each other when they are at home, when they're at the grocery store, when they're picking up the kids, if that's not the same way, then it's fictitious. Of course, I want to say that real carefully, because that's what reality TV is. It's all about how to create situations that will grab people and make them want to come back, put them on the edge and say, well, man, I got to go. I got to see the next, they will stop it at a particular place and they say, man, I got to go back and catch this. I'm on the cliff. I'm at the cliffhanger right now. And they do that. And it's very well organized like that, but like I said, when I'm sitting there with them, I'm just doing. I don't know what they're going to script in and script out. I really don't.
All right. So I remember the next question was, who did you feel you got the most backlash from when it comes to participating? From watching the show, it showed the Whitlows as being like they didn't want to participate in the activities or the phone call. Were you ever informed that there was a phone call that had to be placed there, something that she had to step out? Like, no, you were never informed about that.
No. I didn't know that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. What I expected was, you're here, we're doing a session. Mm-hmm. This is a session to work with all the couples, and and I kind of confronted them, in essence, to say, well, is the phone call more important than working on your relationship here? And both of them basically just blew it off as, well, this is what we do. We work. We're business people. We got to answer the phone. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, but you knew what this was all about. It was about coming here to work your way through. Now, here's the deal. Sometimes it's hard for them to work their way through something with somebody they don't know and they've seen, and they know that I don't fool around. I'm going to ask you the question and I'm going to give you the answer. So was this a way of making sure that they had a buffer? It could be. It could have been, because even in other scenes after that, when we were working with them, they were protecting each other, but at the same time, almost attacking each other. But they were protecting each other from me, or from the stuff they didn't want everybody to know, because I was asking.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You remember the scene you was talking with Tisha on the phone? You was talking to Tisha, and I think you had a scene with Tisha and Marcel, right?
Right.
Do you feel that Marcel was dismissive to her feelings, and that she could that basically could cause her to project her anger on other people because she's not getting through to her husband? Because from the show, it seemed like Marcel didn't want to be there, but she wanted to have the discussion.
Yeah, I think Marcel was not, and probably still is not, the kind of guy who believed that therapy is going to work for him. He's a man's man. He's going to do it his way. But his wife, on the other hand, with from what I can remember, having to do so many things, and she was not getting the kind of help that she needed from him. So no, I didn't get the feeling that he had a complete buy-in, even, those sessions that we did. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I mean, I think after a while, though, I think at first, up front, it was like, man, I wasn't gonna do this, because the first session I had with him, it was almost like we're having a philosophical discourse. He was telling me about it. And he was using all these philosophical terms and asking me all these terms, and I was asking, no, this is not what it's about. So I think that was to kind of say, listen, I think he was introducing himself to me at that time. That was his way of introducing himself to me. Say, listen, you might be a counselor, but I ain't stupid, kind of a thing. And he's not stupid. And I never intended for him to give that message. But I don't know where we got that from. So there was this kind of a push and push and pull that was going on. But I was going to hold his feet to the fire because I knew what I needed to do. You know, he was there because his wife was that not?
That's why you need to stay on the show.
Yeah, I was going to hold his feet to the fire, and I'm going to hold all of their feet to the fire because they are portraying marriage, relationships, and you know. And one of the things that I'd asked somebody some time ago, I said, listen, and they were trying to figure out how to set up their family, you know. I said, well, you know, which family, you know, do you really relate to? You know, which family do you really relate to? You know what they told me? The Cosby Show, the Cosbys. I said, really? I said, you know, that stuff ain't real, right? And so I didn't want them to come and say, well, they want to relate to these people because of the way they do it. I want them to relate to these people, not because of what they do, but because of who they are. And they're in terms of the way they function, they need to just come clean. Listen, reality TV don't have to be all glam and glitz. It really needs to be the real thing that happens in the kitchen, that happens in the garage, that happens in the backyard. Who's cutting the grass? Who's upset? How do you talk about it? How do you work it through? To me, that is the real deal. And that's where I stayed on, you know, on the show. No, I didn't play with them. I just gave it to them, you know, because I realized that a lot of people out there were looking at that and saying, where do I fit into all of this? What can I get from this to help me? And all of these people, the one thing I get from people was this. Not the one thing, but I got this a whole lot. It said, we love the way that you were real straightforward on the show. They loved it. This woman, she told a family member to make an appointment, call me, make an appointment. And she said, my auntie told me, you know, she said, you know, you ain't gonna fool around. She said, if you want to get the real deal, go see Dr. Francis. That's the way they said. And that means that they knew what they would get from me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a guess of, well, this week he's gonna be like this, another week he's gonna be like this. They knew they were gonna get the same thing, the same approach like every week. And that's why I said to them, I can't be scripted. I need to be able to do what I do because it's not staying here. It's going all across the globe. So when somebody called me from Zimbabwe and say, man, we saw you on the, you know, or from, you know, from Dubai and say, hey. Yeah. So it's important for me to do what I do regardless, just regardless, you know.
Give me, what are the traits of a narcissist?
Traits of a narcissist. There's this grandiosity. They're larger than life. And they want to be seen as larger than life. Okay. They are never wrong. Okay. You know, they're never wrong. If something is wrong, it's with the other person. And so, and the thing about a narcissist is this: a narcissist, they have what they call, you know, a narcissist might not be a narcissist. They may be acting out narcissism to do what? Create distance between them and other people, because you have to have something to do it as a buffer between you and people, because if you don't, then people get too close to you and they get to know something about you that you don't want them to know. So they act out their narcissism, okay? And they're always arguing about something, and they're always going off track. They don't stay on track to do anything, okay? And it's always the other person's fault. And so what I tell people is to be careful. The narcissist may not be a narcissist. There's a difference between a narcissist and one who acts it out because it's functional to do that. But it's this grandiosity. They really love that. They are larger than life, and everybody's world must revolve around them. They are the hub of life, and they like people to like them. And people who don't like them, they just blow them off. Something's wrong with you if you don't like me.
Should there ever be fear of dealing with someone who's a narcissist?
Oh, yeah. Now, I don't know what fear it would be, because it would depend on the quality of the relationship. You notice I keep saying the quality of the relationship, because relationship is not either you got it or you don't. You're always in a relationship with somebody. The issue here is the quality of the relationship. And so a narcissist will not make themselves available, to you, to a person at the emotional level. They are thinkers. Your thoughts don't hurt, but your feelings will hurt. So they don't give of themselves. So the fear here is this, that you may not get what you want from a narcissist, but they won't let you go. So they buy things for you. They make sure that you are well taken care of. And sometimes, it can get kind of physical too. Because they can't be wrong, and they're never wrong in their own eyes. So yeah, they're it's all about them and not about anybody else.
From your time of doing the show, did you ever feel like viewers would maybe look at anybody on the cast with narcissistic traits?
Well, as a matter of fact, yeah. They have talked about some of those. They asked me, do you think so and so is a narcissist? And again, I got to tell them that just because they act like it doesn't mean that they are, because a narcissist is a very broken person. What the narcissist is, they say, listen, I'm broken. I cannot afford people to see my brokenness. So I have to act out this machismo, this macho person.
Let me stop you right there. You said it's a broken person.
Yes.
Now, what if we're viewing the person go through the brokenness to the point where we are basically witnessing this person or just anyone lose absolutely everything? They're constantly going downhill.
Right.
So if they have those traits and they think that way, could it ever be a possibility that they could not say self-harm, but do harm to someone else just to get their way?
Oh, yeah. They could. I'm sure they could, not because they're narcissists, but just because they are a person. But let's say that the narcissist, that they, some narcissists may have those tendencies, because just because a person is a narcissist, it doesn't mean that all narcissists will present and act out their narcissism in the same way. So for some people, okay, it could be like, it won't be self-harm, but it might be harming somebody else. In other words, they have to be so powerful that they overpower somebody else. And like for others, their brokenness won't allow them to do that, but they will try to buy people to do what? To keep people close to them, because they don't know how to do what? Create and maintain good, healthy relationships. Not very, very few narcissists know how to do that. And so it's important that they act out, because at one level they want you to be like physically available to them. But then a narcissist is normally emotionally distant, so distant that the spouse or the significant other, they're going through a dry relationship. It's rote. They know exactly how to behave to get what they want, and they like what they're getting. And the narcissist makes sure that they get what they want, so they become like a trophy on the arm. It's all of those things. Narcissists have terrible.
Anybody is basically up for collateral damage dealing with someone that's a narcissist.
Collateral damage, if they're going to come up with collateral damage?
Yeah, collateral damage could be the significant other. It can be family members. It can be their children. It's basically, if a person have the mindset of a narcissist, like anybody is up for collateral damage.
Yeah, again, collateral damage could be pretty wide. But what I am saying here is this, that a narcissist, and let me repeat myself now, is only interested in the survival of the self. So if we're talking about, say, I can say collateral damage in this way, that they believe in themselves so much that they give nothing to the other person. Why? Because they have never, I shouldn't say never, but maybe they have not received enough. Maybe they've never been acknowledged enough. Maybe they've never been validated enough. And all of the things that they needed, they never got that. And they don't know how to reciprocate that. They don't know how to give all of that. So that could be like collateral damage in terms of their relationship and the quality of the relationship. And a lot of times they don't stay in relationships long enough for the other person to get to know them, because then they have to behave in a way that may not allow them to protect themselves, you know, when they really want the, you know, the distance between them and the other person. So I think there always a possibility of collateral damage between, and I'm hoping I'm understanding what you're saying, between themselves and significant others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it right. I have 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna let people start asking you questions. Okay.
All right.
If you had to take the moment to, how can I ask this question? If you could evaluate the show itself, would you say the show is kind of toxic, or do you feel like it's a possibility that there's still hope that it could come together?
I think the toxicity on the show, I'm wondering if it's a part of what draws people to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a different lifestyle off camera? And like I said, I don't know that. I just see the way because when we went to the retreat, mm-hmm. there was not a lot of that toxic stuff that was going on that we see, you know, on show. They were more just very basic, plain human beings. You know, that's what they were. I don't know if it was because of me, because I was going to go down the other road, you know, where it could be toxic and where they would be trying to deceive each other or, you know, create a kind of deception like that. I wasn't going to do that. So I'm thinking from what I see on the show, because sometimes I will watch it. When I watch, because they kind of slot me in different segments, you know, in different shows. So I watch all of that, and then I say to myself, you know, are they really doing this because of who they are, because of what they are, and again because of the show, because the show garners so much stuff. Because I think one of the things that the show will do pretty successfully is it stops people from looking at who they are, because they're looking at other people who got all this problem that they're out there putting out, displaying, which may not be like that. So when you get that, it stops me from looking at the reality of myself and say, well, I guess everybody's like that, so I guess I ain't so bad, you know. So I think in that way, you know, I'm not sure that the show is doing justice to a lot of the viewers. I'm not sure about that, you know, and I'm not talking about the people. I'm just talking about what they are required to do or how they do this for the show. I'm not privy to that part, but what I do know, and like I said, the marriage retreat we did kind of opened up my eyes, and I saw them as just ordinary human beings with brokenness that they don't necessarily want to talk about and deal with. Okay, they are like that, but on the show, they are, you know, rich millionaire people who have a different circle of friends, but out in the woods, they were just regular, normal, hurting people having some degree of difficulty in their relationship.
Well, all I see is millionaires who stay in court. So, allegedly.
You said that, didn't you? You said that.
I mean, that's what I see so far. I'm like I say, Love and Marriage Huntsville Court Edition. Because everybody else will be on a different floor.
Listen, man, you never see me in court, man.
I mean, you need to go back on the show. You need to be the person that's at the door before they even walk in the courtroom. Now, I'm gonna tell you how to do this, okay? Be calm. Like,
listen, man. I'll tell you this. But you know, in sincerity though, I get that a lot. That I ought to be on the show. I get that a lot. They're asking me, "Are you on the show? Are you on the show?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing." But yeah, I get that. I get that a lot.
So,
I really do.
Even though you told them that you're not going to do anything scripted, did anyone in production ever try to give you key points where they wanted you to touch on anyway?
Yes. Yeah. But
still do that. They still try to tell you, we want you to get to this place because
yes.
they said it.
Yes. But here's what I do. I get to it in my way. Mm-hmm. And that's how I do that. But yeah, that there are some things that they want to touch on because that directs where they want to go. You know, and then I take it and I do it myself. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, you're absolutely you know, you're right about that. You know, you're right about that. And again, you know, they have a goal in mind. You know, and so everybody is a tool towards that goal that they have in mind, you know, including myself. So yeah, they would tell me, you know, can you ask this question here? Can you ask this question over here? Or we notice that this and this is happening. Can you talk about that? And I'll talk about that. But I guess if you want to say it's scripted to that degree, yeah, maybe what they want to know, but they can't tell me how to approach that, you know.
All right, now, what can we expect from you in the future?
You know what? This was I was just sitting in my office, just minding my own business. Mm-hmm. TV and all this stuff was never on my mind. In the future, what I'd like to do is continue doing marriage retreats and marriage seminars for couples, because I think, and not just couples, not just married couples, but couples. But I'd like to do that. Now, if the opportunity came up for me to, to do to go on another show, mm-hmm. then I'll take a look at that. I take a very serious look at that because I was able to touch the lives of a lot of people, millions of people, as a matter of fact. Okay, so I'm not trying to create my own empire or anything like that. So why not?
Why not?
Oh man, listen, don't take too much of my time to do that. You know?
I mean, like, you have the platform, you have the everyone know who you are. Like right now, why not create your own?
I can do that. And so I'm slowly doing that. I have a podcast. My podcast is called Shake Up. Okay. It's called Shake Up, and it's on every Monday at 6 Central Time. And I got a Shake Up. So people come on. When we talk about real life stuff. Real life stuff. So in that in that regard, I'm working on that. And like I said, more conferences, more seminars, more of that, and still continuing to answer the call to set up and to work on marriage retreats, because people really need that. And one of the reasons people want marriage retreats is because when they sit down with me for an hour, I get people saying, "Man, it's an hour already?" Yes, an hour. Well, can we book 2 hours? And so people will book like 2 hours, and they just have so much they need to work with. But I'm working to build my my podcast audience, which is, like I said, it's the Shake Up with Dr. Kid. And if somebody else were to call me and say, "Hey, can you do a piece on the show?" I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll just sit down, talk with them, see what it's all about, and just go get it done.
Okay, Dr. Kid. I'm gonna end up putting your the link for the Shake Up with Dr. Kid in this chat so everyone can go to it. Now,
Yes.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Dr. Kid, you have a lot of people backstage who want to talk to you, and you can't see them. I can. So everyone, I'm gonna give y'all 2 minutes, and don't feel bad if I tell you to knock down because I know y'all want to ask these questions today. So we got over 1,000 people watching us right now, Dr. Kid.
Ooh.
So I already know this video. I know this video finna hit over 10,000. I know it is. Dr. Kid, you are always welcome to my platform.
Thank you, sir.
And we're going to talk about something else because I see a collaboration coming along. Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. Listen. I'm open to that. I really am open to that. As a matter of fact, a client told me the other day, that they have, they have this. That can I say, is helping from a place of brokenness. Serving from a place of brokenness. Yeah. And that is an amazing place. And I'm looking forward to going on that platform to talk about serving from a place of brokenness. The power of that is amazing. And just so many. So, look, I got so many stuff like right here that I want to get out. Just get it out. Books are slow. They're good, but they're slow. I got to take a whole lot of time and sit down and do it.
All right, y'all. That link that I just pinned right there, that's the link to Dr. Kid YouTube channel right there.
Right.
Make sure you all please go follow him. I'm about to start bringing people up. I'm about to bring LB and Anonymous up first, okay?
Okay.
Hey, Anonymous, how are you?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
LB.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you, love?
I'm blessed and not stressed. How about yourself?
Good. You up? Got 2 minutes.
Okay, Dr. Kidd, I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
The first question is what doctor to doctor, because I am an oncologist. How do you feel about the psychologists and the psychiatrists and also social services missing out of hospitals now due to lack of funding? So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's important because when I was in school, I came from a systemic background. Okay, so systems, and so people are not just digital components. People are systems, and so whatever they need, we have to take a look at that in a holistic way. So when they are missing from the hospital, we are saying, or we might be saying, we could be understood to be saying, well, listen, as long as we fix the broken bones and everything else, okay, then after that, then you can go and see them. But the whole point is this: if you can see all of this, if they can have all of this at the same time, it will be a lot better, because then all the parts will be resonating with each other and bringing them to a place of wholeness a lot quicker, a lot sooner.
That is correct. That is correct. But some hospitals are not following suit with that because lack of funding. So thank you for that point of view. And one more other point of view. How do you feel about the old term saying the rooster is coming to roost with generational determinant within the household?
What? Okay, give me a little bit more about, because I want to be sure. I know you were just saying what.
Okay, so you know the old saying, you know, the roosters are coming to roost, correct? So when you have generational turmoil within a family,
right,
and it's coming out as an adult, and things are not resolved due to the fact of trauma within the home. And now you're seeing a lot of broken families. You're seeing a lot of brokenness within oneself. Then a person have mental issues. Then you get older and you be like, oh, Uncle Tate touched me. So how do you feel about when I say coming in a roost, when the Black generation, old school parents say you don't talk about what's in my household, but now it's coming to roost as
Right.
adult.
Right.
So that's
Right.
the part. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so when we tell our children not to talk about what happened, we're basically muzzling them both physically and emotionally. And so now now little wonder that when they have all this turmoil going on the inside, what do they turn to? They turn to what I call, and I said it once before, this is what I call emotional anesthesia. They have to deal with the pain and the loneliness of that they're going through, because they can't talk about it. And after a while, they have difficulty with trusting other people. And when the children have difficulty trusting other people, they have difficulty trusting in adult relationship, and or they might become so clingy that they may be clinging to the wrong people and become abused themselves. You understand what I'm saying, Ian?
Yeah, I do.
So what to tell them not to talk about it is to open them up to the world of secrecy. They become very secretive. They go into their own relationship as adults. They become very secretive. And so there's a whole part of themselves that their significant other will not know, because they figure if they tell them, they're going to think, well, something is wrong with you. It was your fault why this happened, and all of that stuff. And it just creates.
I believe they grow up to being non-effective communicators.
Yes, absolutely. And not just non-effective communicator with words, but non-effective communicator with the sharing of the self.
Well, my 2 minutes is up. Dr. Kent, I do appreciate your time and patience. Keep up the good work, and I will be looking for you in the future.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
I really appreciate you. All right.
Hi, Dr. Kit.
Hey.
Also known as Dr. Francis on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I wanted to thank you so much for showing your expertise on the show with the cast. I thought that helped them during a troubled time. The first question I wanted to ask you is, people have been confusing a diagnosis where you diagnose a patient and also give a report with people, the public, getting a chance to see 10 traits of being a narcissist, 10 traits of being either a malignant narcissist or a narcissistic sociopath that psychologists and psychiatrists have published through other publications like Choosing Therapy, Very Well Mind, Psychology Today. And I just wanted to see if you could just give kind of a brief explanation of the difference between the two.
Between
a diagnosis and people just seeing behavioral traits from people who have published what to see the common signs to look for if you're dealing with people.
Yeah, but listen. I think when it comes down to a diagnosis, I think we really need to be careful. It just depends on how how effective is this tool that they're using. Is it really good at picking up the generalization? Okay. And one of the things about diagnosis that I've discovered here is that there is this piece that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to, and it's the culture.
Yes.
Different people in different cultures will behave in a particular way that in the mainframe of the Western world, it looks like there is an illness or at least something that is skewed. And so therefore they would misdiagnose that person because they have not factored in, or they don't understand the cultural nuances to say that, wait a minute, and ask that question and look for that question. Because a lot of the standardized tests don't really go into that. They may ask a couple of questions about that, but they want to know about the WASP, and I call it, the factor, which is, the basic white or Caucasian approach to life. And a lot of that stuff don't apply to us. It really don't. Or, or people from non-white countries, it really don't apply to them. So there is going to be a lot of misdiagnosis. And when we have this misdiagnosis, one of the first things we see is medication pops off the shelf.
Yeah, I've noticed that, but that's why it's important to have people of color who understand things to be in these fields to help
Right. Right.
understand that cultural aspect so that people know that's not really the issue.
Right.
But at least in terms of like, they have publications like we were talking about the traits of common signs of a narcissist. I
Mhm.
was sometimes I've been looking at just to see behavioral on Love and Marriage Huntsville that you would see like 10 traits of possibly being narcissistic sociopath.
Yeah,
And I know we talked about, they said that they're empty inside.
they are.
They hurt people.
Mhm.
It's about power and control, and they have a huge discard pile. Are those things that lay people or people just observing can basically say that you have those traits and it be permitted?
No, I don't think that lay people can necessarily see that and say it, because a lot of lay people, the first thing they say is he's a control freak, and they just leave it at that. But they are not equipped to understand the nuances of the scientific components of those, because they think, well, a narcissist is just whatever they see or whatever they hear on TV. But then, if you go to, like, say, the DSM, you're familiar with the DSM, right?
Not really. What's the name of the acronym?
It's a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorder.
Okay.
Okay, this is what social work and psychologists and work. It's like I can't remember the one that medical people use. I can't remember what that is. But anyhow, so what happens is you go down through this and you say, well, listen, the person got 4 out of 10, so therefore they have to be this way. Well, I'm going to tell you, I did a long time ago when I was trying to get into school. It was called the MMPI, the Minnesota Multiphasic test. And there was about 300 test questions on this thing. After a while, I discovered that there was repetitive. And so what happened here is I said to myself, well, listen, when the brain begins to become saturated with information, you become less discrete. And so as I was answering these things, I took a long time to do this. And I would go back and say, you know what? I answered this question over here. I go back and I say to myself, I'm going to answer it the same way I answered it back then. Why? Because I wanted to see what the outcome of that would be. And so I think diagnosing, and I think one of the things about diagnosis is this, that once we diagnose somebody, we tend to want to treat the diagnosis instead of treating the person.
I see what you're saying. Where they look, it's like a point in time, and they think that that's for the person for the future versus
Yes.
understanding there's changes that can happen.
Absolutely. A person will change. A lot of things will happen to make a person go through changes. And a lot of things will happen that people will change and don't know that they're changing, don't know the degree to which they're changing, don't know the reason why they're changing, and they're just as confused about themselves. And so when we call them, give them all these labels, and they don't understand the labels, and we put labels on things so we can find them. I got labels all over my house in the pantry. So if I want a bag of flour, I know where it is. Why? Because on it says flour. I put things there, label people, give people diagnoses so I can find them.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
I know where to find them.
Hey, Anonymous Love.
I know I gotta go. That was great.
You can come back up, dog. I got a few more people in the background, okay?
All right, no problem. Thank you, Dr. Kidd.
All right, now you're welcome.
All right, I have Shirley that's gonna come up and Kaylin. Shirley, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Anthony. Hello, Dr. Kidd.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. And I just want to say that your appearances on the show was very refreshing. And I think a lot of the viewers of the show wish that OWN would give you a show like Iyanla, because let me tell you, you could do so. I mean, you're impacting people now, but you could, your reach and impact can really help many, many other people across this country and definitely within the African American community. So I do appreciate and thank you for your work. Now, I'm a burnout social worker, but I never did clinical practice, but I'm still a burnout social worker. Well, anyway, my question is, I don't know if you recently watched the show, but there was an incident that was very disturbing to many of us, with how Martell is handling the divorce. Seems to be, he doesn't respect boundaries that Melody has put up to protect herself and what she says her peace.
Right.
He interferes and he crosses the line, and he uses verbiage as for the kids, but when I believe it's really for his benefit.
Right.
And
right.
he uses the children as a gateway. There was an incident where she threw a birthday party for the girls, the two older girls, because their birthdays are a week apart. And it was her week to have it. And he had been told that this was not his week. He wasn't invited. However, he showed up anyway, using his oldest daughter as she wanted me there. And saying that, I think he said that the oldest girl had said it was okay with mommy. Knowing he did not.
She said that he was invited. That she wanted him to come. That's what he alleged.
Yes, he said that the oldest girl wanted him to come, and it was okay with mommy. Now Martell, knowing the relationship him and Melody have, knew that that's not correct. And plus, he had a conversation. It had been communicated to him. No, this is not. You're not invited. This is something I'm doing for the girls. When you have the children, you can do your own. He shows up anyway, and he causes a scene. It gets so bad that he yells in her mother's face. And they didn't show all this in the on the show, but supposedly two of Melody's male cousins had to calm him down. He calmed himself down when he saw the two male cousins there, and they let him walk in, take a picture with the kids, and then he left. Melody has said, well, I'm having this birthday party for the girls, but if you want to come back and get them later, you can. He didn't want to do that. He said, no, I want to celebrate my daughter's birthday now. He didn't do that, nor did he return because he went to a different city to do something else. I want to ask you, how can Melody navigate that kind of sticky situation? Because I believe as the children get older, he will attempt to, unless he changes his behavior, he will, that urge to manipulate the children will get more and more and more deep. And how can she protect herself as well as the children and still try to, well, I don't even want to say co-parent, I guess parallel parent, because right now it's hard for her to co-parent with him. What would be your advice on a situation like that? And that's what I think.
Well, first off, one of the things I'm going to say is that divorce is never final.
Yeah.
Divorce is never, ever, ever going to be final. Now, here's what happens. People divorce the behavior of their spouse, but do they really divorce the emotional connection that they've had? All the good. Listen. You divorce somebody, and and you can still think, man, every time there is a birthday or there's an anniversary or there's a color or there's a piece of music or there's a car or there is somebody who looks like somebody, it brings back either the good times or the not so good times. Okay. And so therefore the divorce is never, ever final because the emotional component will not allow you to let it go final. You remember everything that was, and the bad stuff. And when the other person is no longer available to you, what you do, you get angry, right?
Yes, that's what he's doing.
When you get angry, you go on the attack. You go, transfer some of that stuff you got on the inside here onto the other person. So it's worthwhile for people to know that divorce is never final. So therefore, Martell and Melody, they are not completely divorced.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't like the behavior. They didn't like the extracurricular things that happened. All of that stuff. I'm going to school now. That's curricular. That's what it is. And that's what they don't like. But if they were to be real honest, if they wrote a book about their lives, a lot of things would start out with all the good times they had.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody were to say, well, you're writing about the good time, how are you experiencing yourself at this moment, writing about the good time? They're going to say something like, it was good, but I'm angry that is no longer available to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they want to be available to them. So this is what I'm saying, you know, this divorce thing is never final. Now, if Melody can know that, she will know that that's a part of the reason why Martell is there, because there's a piece of her that he's not done with and still desire. And because he can't get it through directly from her, he then will do what? Allow his child to become the gatekeeper
Mm-hmm.
of that relationship. But then that puts the child in a compromising situation, because she already know what mom and dad's doing. And then off camera, off everything else, I don't know what Melody's going to say about to this child.
Yes.
And when they get them in their separate weeks and their visitations, now they have to figure out and play this game of, I got to know what daddy wants so I can behave daddy. I got to know what mama wants so I can behave mama. And when I'm with daddy, I don't see nothing good. I don't say nothing good about mama when I'm with you know, vice versa. These things happen, and it puts the children in a place where they really don't need to be.
Yes.
They don't need to be there. Why? Because the children, despite the divorce, the children still love the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the younger children would still want to have the availability of both parents at the same time, but they have parents' unavailability as opposed to ability, you know, and they have to fight that. It's very painful for them to have to fight that. So if she could understand that and know that his behavior is all about the fact that he's not divorced from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Shirley,
that's it. Yeah, I just was listening to his answer. That's it.
Now, I'm about to say, Shirley, this is Barbara. I just want to thank you for coming up.
Oh,
Look, Dr. Kid, I'm about to fan you off. I know you're hot right there.
okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Kid.
You're welcome, ma'am. You're welcome. Thanks for your question.
All right, Mildred, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you,
Hey,
Dr.
Mildred, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So much of this resonates with me, especially when you said healing from brokenness. Boy, can I identify. When I grew up, my mother was institutionalized several times in my really early formative years. So from, I think, about age maybe 1 till I was 10 years old. So she was in and out of different institutions. And I, of course, had a lot of trauma related to that.
Right.
But my latter years, and I'm going to say this, I did a lot of self-soothing, medicating, putting on like my own anesthesia. I was a finger popper, you know, to numb it more. So
Oh, okay.
I tried to run from it, more or less. And in my late 40s, I started experiencing panic attacks and anxiety, really bad ones. And I was like, what is going on? Now, somewhere in the recesses, I was keenly aware of mental illness because I had seen it. I had experienced it. I had lived it. I'd watched it really early on. But I was thinking, no, because I've done this, and this. And also being from the South and being Black, we didn't dare talk about those type of feelings. Number one,
Right.
people are not emotionally intelligent enough for you to say, I'm having these feelings. So I'm really happy this is being done. And I'm so grateful to Anthony that he's brave enough to talk about mental illness and the stigma associated with it and Black community, because that's the only color I've ever been Black. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of mental illnesses other places, but, you know, from a Black woman standpoint, I'm really happy that we're saying it's okay to not be okay. And please pray, but get yourself a therapist. I mean, we spend all kinds of money quaffing and nipping and tucking, but we don't want to spend any money on a clinical hour of therapy. And a lot of us need it. So I thank you very much. This has been so great. I feel like I had a therapy session tonight. Thank you, Anthony, for having Dr. Kid on here. All of this resonated with me so much, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, and I think, you know, if your mom went in and out of institutions, you know, at some point, because if there is ever a reality where we can say a person is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. It is between a mother and a child, where the child was incubated for exactly how many months, and then they grew up. And if you breastfeed the child, that is something else. And then after a while, depending on the quality of the attachment that you have, maybe you may get as far as symbiosis, but, but when it gets to that, it's hard sometimes to separate yourself from a mother who was exhibiting things that people didn't like, or they said it was abnormal. So now you think because you're doing that, you're abnormal.
Right. And I didn't dare talk about it for many years. I wouldn't share that with my siblings, and we're womb mates. I mean, we have the same mother. I would not share it because I had a fear that they would not understand. Because, they're like, girl, I need to pray more. Well, okay, I assure you that's not what's going on here. But yeah, so take care of yourself, take care of each other, check on your strong friends, that kind of thing. Be kind to each other. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anthony.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for engaging me that much, a little bit. Okay, thank you.
All right.
You're more than
You
welcome.
all almost at 1,000 likes right now, so make sure y'all get this video up. Okay. I have 4 more people in the background. I got Kaylin and I have LaDun coming up. Hey, Kaylin, how are you?
Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Hey. Everybody saying put the disclaimer. The banner is up right now, y'all. It's going through the thing, so the banner has been up.
Okay.
All right. you not
I had to relay the message.
Somebody else said yeah, it's been up.
Okay. Hello, Dr. Kit. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing, man?
I'm actually great. Thank you for asking.
All right.
First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming up. I want to thank you for giving us, as the community, your pearls of wisdom, because a lot of us really need it. Okay. I just have one question for you, and then I'm out of here.
Okay.
Give everybody else a chance.
All right.
Did you see a spike in the divorce rates due to the pandemic?
Now, I'm not so sure if I saw that, but here's what I do know: that what the pandemic has done, it has really tested people's capacity to deal with themselves and or to others, because the pandemic kind of put people in a silo. They're kind of just in there. They're in a crucible. There's not a whole lot of room for them. And for some people, going to work, being away from their spouse, it doesn't mean that you dislike your spouse or you hate your spouse, but sometimes you just want to have room for yourself. Now that has nothing to do with your marriage. It has everything to do with what kind of person am I? And you ask yourself the question, who am I? What makes me different from everybody else? What makes me who I am? So it's quite possible that there might have been a spike in divorce. But now we need to take a look at the reason for that. Some people who may be a little bit more clingy, they need more attachments. And if that one person is like that, and the other person needs some more distance, some separation, but the clingy person is clinging, and the other person wants to separate, and the clingy person said, "You don't love me no more," and the person who wants to separate said, "Well, I'm being consumed by you," and then that begins to take them into a spiral where they're no longer be able to meet each other's needs. And so, that could create a spike in divorce. So the COVID might have been an opportunistic component in that. It gave them the opportunity to go through something that was already there, but did not have a gateway to activate itself and make it happen.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
I get where you're going.
All right.
All right. I thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, man.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
LaDun, it's all on you, love.
Hey. Good. Hi, Dr. Kit. I'm so happy you're here.
All right.
Also, you very informative. I have 2 questions real quick. Okay. One question might be a little quick. Do you think marijuana affects mental health?
Well,
in a negative way?
I think they have different strengths and qualities of marijuana. It can impact the mental stability of some people. I've had some people tell me, because I used to do a lot of drug treatment too. They tell me that when they use it, that they're actually really mellow, and it's at that time that they are at their best. So I don't know that anybody out there can really say that it's like this. It's harmful, although I think it might be harmful depending on how much you use it for. Now, I'm not saying that they should use it, and I don't know why some people use it. Some people say, well, it's recreational. Well, what does recreational mean? You know, so it might just mean it's my way of feeling better about myself, feeling happy. It might be my way of escaping from certain things that I don't like. So I don't know that I can position myself to say that, listen, it's going to be a bad thing, because it does scientifically, it does have some, some pretty good qualities that some people use, and they say they're getting it from that. So I'm going to say that I think it depends on the person, the makeup of the person, and the reason why they're using this is something that I think we need to look at, and not just say, well, using marijuana is a bad thing. It might be, if you take a look at it from a psychological level, from a sociological level, from a physical level, from a spiritual level, all these various levels that we look at it. And those who have a belief about a position, they will say, or they might say, well, I think it's wrong to do this.
Right.
But we don't, but I'm going to take the position that I don't know. It might be wrong, but just because it's wrong, does it mean that it does not have a positive impact on some people? I don't know that either.
Right. Like if somebody used it for sleep or appetite.
Sleep, yes.
Okay, real quick. My second question is,
hey, we have 1,056 people watching this video. I need for everyone to please subscribe to Dr. Kit's YouTube channel. These are the type of channels that need to get over 1,000 subscribers, because the information that he's giving us, we can always use this, and this is a channel that we definitely need to support. The link that I just put in the chat, y'all make sure y'all click that and subscribe to that channel. Just do it for me. We already got him almost at 100. He started with 15. Get him on up to 1,000. I see more people are still coming in. Get him to 1,000.
Absolutely.
All right. Appreciate that, sir.
And Dr. Key, like I said, you're forever welcome to come on this platform, okay? Forever.
Yes, sir.
All right, done.
All right. So my next question is, I watched one of the other content creators that we watched, Dana Rose, and she had a man, there was other doctors, Black doctor, male doctors up there. And there was a question that was asked, and I'm going to ask you the question. The men on Love and Marriage Huntsville, do you think they depict Black men in a true light?
I think, and here again, we got to be careful. What's the purpose of the show?
It was supposed to be business, Black excellence, and all those things.
Right. Exactly. But now it's turned out into something else. Okay. So if I were to say, well, listen, do they basically represent the masses of Black people and Black relationship? Then my answer would be no. My answer would be no. Why? Because again, I got to say, what's the purpose and the function of the show? It was to show Black business people and to give a message that Black people, young Black people, can become business entrepreneurs and so on and so forth. But did they stick to that, or did some other stuff creep in there, which kind of belies the whole point that they were trying to make? You understand? So I think just staying on course and say, this is what listen, if you're going to do something, okay, you have to have a goal in mind. It's got to be realistic, measurable. It's got to be all of that, okay? Because if you don't, you can always go off course. And so, but it does depict the possibilities of some young Black people coming up like the phoenix rising up out of the ashes. You know, it does. I think it does a pretty good job with that. But I think it's the other interpersonal relationship part that, you know, and the way that they dress and the way that where they go and how they set it up like that. You know, that's kind of a Hollywood stuff, and most of us don't get to that place in life. And so does that mean then that if we don't get there, something is wrong with us? No, something is not wrong with us. You know, do we have the opportunity to do that? Some do and some don't. Some of us, do we have the capacity to do that? And if we don't have the capacity to do that, it doesn't make us any worse or less than. Okay, so yeah, I think it does show the possibilities for some young Black entrepreneurs to do a really good job. But then, does it depict the quality of the interpersonal relationship between people in the masses? I'm not so sure about that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, LaDon, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you, love. All right, we got Hannah, and after that, we got Maritha as the last person. Hey, Hannah, how are you?
Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
Good.
Hello, Dr. Francis and guests.
How are you?
Just want to let you know I am a licensed professional counselor, and I do have a PhD in counseling studies as well. So I am.
Then, okay. So therefore, then you can just go ahead and answer your own question. Why ask me?
Well, no, I was just letting you know that I was familiar with the DSM. I know someone had asked about it earlier, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual.
Yes.
Okay. So I do prefer cognitive behavioral modification counseling. That's my modality that I like.
Okay.
And I also like whole health. You know, the whole you know what you like it. You admit
the systemic and holistic approach. Absolutely.
Holistic, yes.
Yeah.
And my dissertation was on the role of religion and the addictive disease treatment programs.
Now, how that Anthony said he is a PK, so the role of religion.
Right. So I understand. I like spirituality in my treatment, as long as the patient, as the client is, acceptable to that.
Yeah.
So
I pray with people sometimes.
Great. That does help.
They will ask me, and I'll say, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what modality is your marriage retreat based on? And my second question is, if you had met Mr. Holt prior to the show, do you think that your marriage retreat would have been successful in getting him to do the work to stop the behavior that was destroying his marriage?
Well, let me take that one first. Listen, Mr. Holt. Let me put it. I'm gonna say it like that. We don't stop doing things that makes us feel good. We will not stop doing anything that make us feel good, even though we know it may not be good for us. All right, and so therefore, his behavior, therefore, then it's more than the acting out of a behavior, and I'm using acting out at like a stage where where we go and we basically perform in our marriages, or we perform for other people. So I'm not sure. I don't think I know enough of him to say, well, listen, the marriage retreat or any marriage retreat would change him. I think there are some other things that's going on with him. I think one of the sessions that I had with him, we talked about his dad, and he talked about his relationship with his dad, and he talked about it on the show. That was aired, so I'm not saying nothing that nobody don't know. And so I think there are those things that he really and everybody need to take a look at. Although I think sometimes we tend to overemphasize or overplay the impact of early childhood traumas and exposures. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. when I say I think we overemphasize it sometimes, I think sometimes we overemphasize it to the degree to where we think that's all there is of the person. And that is not all there is of the person, because you know that you know, let's say a borderline person, a borderline personality, if they had the trauma at a very early age, you know, they can develop what one author called a distancing personality, because they never had the opportunity to hone in and to grow their capacity to attach. So they go into this distancing thing. Now, I don't know what's going on. And so therefore then marriage is functional. You know, we don't say, oh man, I love somebody. Marriage is functional. And it is one of the most selfish things that we could ever do. One of the most selfish alliances we could ever create. Why? Because we go into it, we don't have everything that we want in and of ourselves, and we look for somebody else to provide that for us. And so therefore, if they're not providing it for us the way we want to provide, then we get a little bit upset. So marriage is functional and selfish. I'm going to say it like right here, or at least it has the capacity for that to happen. And some people go into marriages not because they want to be selfish, but because it's more of a you know, I can either give to myself to make me feel better, or I can take from somebody to make myself feel valuable, you know, or receive from somebody. So marriage is a transaction that we have to go through. So I don't know where he is in all of that. Now, I don't know. So when it came down to our retreats, I'm not so sure, because a person will need to go to have to go to a retreat. It's more than an hour. It's where you spend time with yourself as much as you spend time with your spouse. I don't think enough of us spend enough time with the self. And if we don't do that, because the truth of the matter is, you know, we're all strangers. You know, as long as you are married, you are a stranger, because every day you experience a new part of the growth and developmental continuum, and you are a stranger to that part of yourself, and your spouse, your significant other, going through that same thing. So we think that the way they were yesterday, the way they are today, and so we treat them today like we treated them yesterday. That's when we get into a whole lot of trouble. We're strangers. We're continuing to be strangers because we're always evolving. And we don't necessarily like the way, you know, the way we experience ourselves. And so that's a challenge to us to be able to openly feel free to say, you know, this is how I was feeling yesterday about this or that or you, and I'm not feeling that way today, and I don't know why. It's okay to be open like this, but some people just don't have the freedom to be able to do that. So I don't know how well they actually shared that part of themselves because of the discomfort of sharing that part of themselves. Therefore, for you know, the marriage could have been more functional, so that they can get what they want out of it, or add that piece of themselves that we're missing. You know, and when we do that, we expect the other person to be that to us that we need, that we can't provide for ourselves. And that's putting a lot of stress on people. Marriage is very stressful.
And can I just say one thing? I know that you said that people don't stop doing things that they enjoy doing.
Right.
And because I believe in the cognitive behavior, where you change the way you think, you change your behavior. So I would hope that at some point this man would change, you know, and I've had to deal with things that I had to change and I had to stop. So we kind of disagree on that, but, you know, but I'll think about it a little bit more, because sometimes that is absolutely true.
Right. Now, if you change your view of yourself, you will change your view of the world, and you will change the way you view what you view in the world. So yes, if we start out by purposefully changing our view of ourselves, as opposed to changing our behavior first. No, I need to be able to go and, you know, let me just say this real quick. You know, several years ago, Michael Jackson had this song, "The Man in the Mirror." Well, there is no man in the mirror. Has never been a man in the mirror. I think I know what they're saying, but the truth of the matter is there is no man in the mirror. The man in the mirror is a reflection of who I am. And so therefore, if I want to make changes, I have to use the man in the mirror, which reflects something about me that I don't like, But if I like it, I will not change it. I will not change it. Why? Because I have made it a piece of who I am. It identifies with the core piece of myself. And as long as I'm getting some kind of satisfaction out of it, I will not change until I get to the place where it is no longer satisfying me. Then I'm going to look for something else to either satisfy that piece of myself, which I like to satisfy, or I'm going to say I no longer desire to satisfy that part of myself.
Thank you so much. I'm waiting, so I enjoyed the show. Thank you so much, Dr. Francis and Anthony and guests. Y'all have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you so
now.
much. Okay, bye-bye. All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't know my thing was mute. Sorry.
Okay.
LB said, please ask him upon what do he think upon what core values is missing from the Black American homes today.
The core value that I think is missing from the Black families today, I'm going to say a couple of things. One is the spiritual piece, because that's the way we grow up. Listen, I don't care. All of us have been through church at some point because it was our way of dealing with ourselves under oppression and pressure. So I think that piece. The other piece is the value of the family structure and system itself. We have been fragmented for a number of reasons. Listen, when I was doing a dissertation in a doctoral program, it's called Health and Human Service. And one of the things that I discovered that the family system has been fragmented because grandmother, the title was, I think it was called Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. Yes, that's what it was. Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. And it talked about, the research talked about the Black family, who could not find work down here after the end of the Civil War, and just going through that. And in the North, there was industrialization of the country. And so a lot of our Black men went north and left their children and their wives or fiance or girlfriend down here. And they were going to go north and work and send money back down here or come back. A lot of them did not come back. And so the family was fragmented by reason of circumstances for survival. So it's not that Black men are beasts. And it's like, I think there are reasons why. Now, some may have different reasons, which I may or may not agree with, but there are those whose behavior fragmented the family, for survival, maybe. And I don't know. It's hard for me to say what it is, but I think those two things are, without stretching this thing out, as a core. Those are the two core values that I see: the spiritual piece and the value of the family. Because what we do as adults, when we have dependent children, it will impact them and the way they grow to see themselves and the way they interact with other people. And this is why it could be a part of the reason why we're seeing so much Black and Black crime, because we just don't value lives as much as we used to. Why? Because the family has not been a place of demonstrative value of human beings or just the other people. We are indeed our brother's keepers, but we don't see that a lot. We just see other people that look like us. But if we could say, listen, this is indeed my brother, then I will want to help my brother as opposed to help myself of my brother. So I think those are the two things that I would basically look at right now.
I want to ask you one question, then I'm gonna bring up Marita, then we're gonna be finishing this video, y'all. So since we're on the topic of talking about mental illness, and I know some people are gonna be like, Anthony, don't do it, but I want to ask you a question. So I went through a little situation this past week, maybe two. And do you think it's wrong to take legal actions if someone that struggled with a mental illness has basically filed false reports? Now, hold on, let me finish. Everything has been dismissed, okay? Because there has been numerous lies, okay? My name has been put on multiple statements that have not been talked about, and I've said absolutely nothing. But I got the option today is Mr. Lofties. How do you want to handle it? Now, do I say let it go because the person struggled with a mental illness, or should I handle it?
Listen, let me tell you this. You cannot not handle it. If you say, I'm going to let it go, that's your way of handling it. Now, the other way of handling it is to bring some resolution or resolve to your character, because your character might be maligned, you know, and you need to set your character free, if I can put it like that. So I think if you have to take legal actions, then I think there might be some level of appropriateness in that, because mental illness, you know, there are degrees, you know, of mental illness. There are degrees, and sometimes, you know, I think sometimes we're at a place now where we're saying, well, if a person's got a mental illness, then they don't know what they're doing. I don't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know that. And again, it's easy for some people who are pretty astute to act out and I keep using this, act out in a way in order to get what they want. Okay, so we have to be careful. Is this really mental illness, or is this an act of mental illness? And just because they may have a mental illness diagnosis, does this mean then that they're not responsible for their behavior? Maybe they can't think through, you know, as clearly as they can, but is there no level of responsibility that we can hold them to? Because if we don't, are we saying that mental illness is a sentence from which people cannot come back from? There's some mental illness that that we can reverse and we can grow, and it's treatable, and they become the kind of productive people that they want to be. I think each of these cases should be done on its own merits, and you have all of that on your own merits. So therefore, I'm thinking that in order to do that, we need to know about the person, the reason, the meaning of their behavior, and to what degree do they have control over their behavior, or is it a means to an end? And is it because they know, well, if here's let me give it to you this real quick. I was in the providing drug treatment for this one guy. Well, a lot of people, but this one guy, you know, he was divorced, and you know, he had a 12-year-old daughter, 12, 13, somewhere around about that. Okay, but his thing was crack cocaine, and because he had a history of crack cocaine, his mother had you know, care of his daughter. But he could only be with her as long as his mother was there, you know. And so, but he did the program. He had 1 week left to complete the program, 1 week. And then he went AWOL for about a month. And then he came back. I said, what happened? I said, man, you have 1 week left. Just a week. And then you could have full custody of your child. You know what he said to me? I'm talking about mental illness and using this as a crutch sometimes. He said to me, I'm a crackhead. What do you expect from a crackhead? I go off and I use. And I almost believed him until I asked myself, but what's the function of him using at this time? And it was because of he had already lost his wife, he lost his father, and he wasn't sure that he could attach himself and become a present father in the life of his child, because if he couldn't, he would feel like a failure. And so what he did was he AWOL, knowing that his mother was going to take care of the child, but he went on, said on this crack binge. But when he said to me, "What do you expect? I am a crackhead." Somebody was asking earlier on about diagnosis of, mental illness. And what I said was, yes, sometimes it's true, but sometimes we can use this for our own benefit. So I'm saying all of that to say, Anthony, that listen, we don't know necessarily the state of some people and the degree to which they are acting it out. We don't always know that, because the work we do is not exact science, even when we use standardized tests to try to achieve an outcome, a goal, a diagnosis. It doesn't always work. It does not always work. So if that's what you feel, though, that you need to do, and it's a viable option, then that's what you do. And but at the same time try to figure out, to what degree is this person, or was this person, or is this person able to, or was able to act in a more appropriate way.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. I'm gonna bring on Maritha, and she's the last person backstage. Okay.
Okay, bring her on. Hey, Maritha.
Hey, Dr. Francis. Hi, Anthony. First, Anthony, I want to tell you this was awesome. It's amazing. And it's overly what we needed on YouTube, And Dr. Francis, I want to thank you for being a man of God, for putting God first and putting God in every situation that you have when you're talking to people. Yeah. Because when a man think he know everything, in all actuality, he knows nothing. So I just want to thank you for, I want to thank you for that. And you said something earlier about labeling people, about the guy who told you that he was gay, so he would go to the gay bar. Yeah. I just moved into a very diverse community. I moved into a new apartment complex, and I am a person, I guess you would say I am that person that I don't make friends real easy, and that's on my part, because I don't put myself out there to to be friends. I am friendly, however. So I decided to just, I'm in this building with all these people, so I got to get to know someone. And I met a group of people, and it was during Pride Week. And I said, I would like to go to their parade and see what's, to be familiar with that. So we had been talking for about maybe 2 weeks, And one of the ladies that was in the group, she said, "Well, Maritha, I'm gay." And when she said it, it didn't bother me, because I have nothing against gay people. It didn't bother me. But what she said was, I let people get to know me first before I spring that on them. And it didn't change how I felt about her, because truth be told, she is one of the people that tell me constantly how much she loves me, how much she appreciates me. So, I couldn't label her as anything other as friend. And I don't use that word a lot, friend. But she showed herself to be that. And I appreciate, what you said about, I am not a failure. I'm not a failure. I just failed, because sometimes I feel like, sometimes I do feel like I'm a failure, because the things that I've done in my life and where I am now in my life, And I look back on that and I say, you know, I should be further along than what I am. And I know no one caused that but me. I did that to myself. And sometimes I do feel like I have failed. However, my daughter and my granddaughter tell me all the time, no, that was just something that you did. You're not what you say and you are. So I appreciate you for saying that. I really do. And that makes me feel so, so, so much better. And I cannot thank you enough for being here tonight and for the questions that Anthony asked, for the questions that everybody asked, Dr. Francis, Dr. Keith, Cat. I am over the moon excited and I am so elated that you were here tonight. So I want to give you a bouquet of roses and thank you so very much.
Yeah,
And
listen,
Anthony,
listen
you did awesome.
before you go, let me just put something else in it. Listen, don't tell yourself that you failed. Just tell yourself you have not succeeded yet.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Francis. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's gonna be on my board, on my memory board that I look at. I'm not a failure. I just have not succeeded yet.
Exactly. Listen, and the word yet suggests that you are still moving towards success.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
All
So
right.
I am going to drop down and I really appreciate it. And I overly thank you, Dr. Francis. Thank you so much. And Anthony, I love you to the moon and beyond.
Thank you so much. You'll be good to hear.
You as well. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Dr. Francis, how do you enjoy everything?
Man, you gave me a workout today, man.
Trust me, we've been on for like 2.5 hours.
It's been that long? Oh, yeah.
2.5 hours. And you have 200 subscribers right now on your channel. So we're going to get it up there, okay?
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, you know, and you asked me earlier on, you know, what do I see down the road? And, you know, like I said, the way it started, I didn't see anything huge, but man, it could get there. And I'm not going to stand in my own way. I'm not going to stand in my own way. So I really appreciate you having me on here, the exposure, and all those people out there that came on that's been watching the show and they see me, you know, it's been good. It's been good. I appreciate that, man. 2.5 hours? People stuck it out like that.
Next time, your wife have to join us. Okay,
yes.
Because I would love to hear what she have to say, just so we can just see the chemistry between the both of you.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Oh, yeah, well, definitely.
Well, all right, Dr. Francis, I'm about to go ahead and end everything and talk to everyone, and I will see you next time. Okay.
All right. Thanks much.
All right.
Appreciate you.
No problem. All right, everyone. I hope everyone has had a good night. So let me go ahead and catch you all up on everything. You know, I was supposed to do a review on Bell Collective season 3 episode 1 tomorrow. Saturday we will be back with Love and Marriage Huntsville episode number 6, I think. Yeah, number 6. And I will try my best to do a review on Sunday for the Housewives of Atlanta. Now I'm gonna let y'all know right now. Tomorrow I will be getting my smile makeover. So the doctor have already told me that it's a possibility that, well, it ain't no possibility. He's going to give me some type of value or whatever, because he said I'm going to be sore. So go ahead and make sure you get the notifications to come on up, but it's a possibility that I may not be able to do the review tomorrow. Probably for this whole week, I don't know. But just letting you know, I'm going to try my best to do the Love and Marriage Huntsville on Saturday. If any of them, that's the one I'm going to try my best to do. But tomorrow I will be headed to Atlanta. So you all pray for me that I make it to my destination safely. And I love you all. And I just want to thank everyone that tuned in today. We had over 1,000 people watching, and you all literally stayed in watching this video, because once we got to 1,060, took those breaks, the same amount of people were still watching this video. And I greatly appreciate everyone. I know a lot of you all have been sending me messages and telling me not to do certain things, and I appreciate it. I thank y'all. I love y'all for that. And just thank you for being a subscriber. Thanks to everyone that sent me a super chat, a super sticker, who Zelled me, cash out me. Thank you. I appreciate everything. And next month, we will be coming out with the white chocolate drizzle caramel puffs. So be on the lookout for that. And you all have a good night. And I love you all so much. Play this last video and we are out.
Can we go back to that place where we used to be? I wanna lay down, cuddle up and watch TV. I wanna feel like you're listening to me. Can we go back, go back? I remember when we would talk all night, laugh until we cried. I don't know what happened to us, like we're growing apart more and more. I just wanna know, tell me if I'm doing something wrong, baby. Cause I feel like I'm losing you, feel like I'm losing you. Can we go back to that place where we used to be?